Welcome to In the Trenches with Mo and Hess. He's Mo and I'm Hess. Mo is a 7-year veteran of the Oakland Raiders, and I'm a 4-year veteran of the Detroit Lions. Both of us are former NFL players, and we're here to talk to you every week on every Monday to just chop it up. Two offensive linemen looking at the league and the different issues going on, giving you a high-level overview of the things that we see. As you'll see quickly, we keep it real on everything. There won't be any sugarcoating here in this competition. With that said, Mo, I think any show that talks about the NFL, we got to talk about this referee situation.
Well, you know, they're the pacemaker of the game. They run the game, and it's obvious. My whole career, I tried to avoid the refs. I hated the refs, but it's obvious they play a big part in the game, and somehow the NFL and the referee association need to get this thing together.
Well, you know, just like you, I'm sure, you know, with me, NFL ran in my blood. You know, loved the game, loved playing in the game. But I don't think there's any way around us saying that the owners, the NFL officers, they just don't care about the negative impact that these replacement refs are having on the game.
Well, the NFL as a whole, they know they have a brand, they know they have a game, and as long as they got those stars coming out there and lining up every week, them 22 guys on that field playing, people are willing to keep paying for the tickets, and the NFL knew that, and they're hedging their bets. At the same time, you're looking at these refs, they want more money. Some of them making $185,000 a season for a part-time weekend job, and you give me first-class fights, and I'm on TV and stay at great hotels. Come on, I mean, at some point, where does the madness stop? I mean, we need to get this thing together. It's the betterment of the game, and for some reason, at this point in time, the game is being lost over revenue, and it's not the quality of the game. I don't think it's diminishing. But I think we definitely need to put something in place before one of these players seriously get hurt because these young refs don't understand how to control these guys.
I'd agree with you 100%. And, you know, from the little bit of research I've done on it, referees work anywhere from 8 to 10 days a month. These guys, like you said, the kind of money they make, and, you know, if they can make that kind of money, great. I'm not going to hate on them for that. But these guys get pensions. And from my understanding, one of the things that they're holding out for is that the NFL wants to hold them, you know, more accountable for the quality of the game that they call. They want to bring in, you know, a replacement set of referees that are capable at any time. If you have a crew that's continually making bad calls, where they can come out, be retrained while you send another crew in. And, you know, being in the trenches, you know, those guys, you know, for those of you out there who are watching, as offensive linemen, the only time our name gets called is when we do something wrong. We're never, ever acknowledged for doing the things that we do right. And so when I look at it from the perspective of these guys are not wanting to take accountability for, you know, when they perform poorly, I have very little sympathy for that.
Oh, I do. I mean, it's like this. Every successful business has checks and balances. Every man, should feel some sense of accountability to their profession, to their jobs, to their family. And if you don't want somebody looking over your shoulder, you don't want to be held accountable, then you're in the wrong career, wrong profession. And I believe, you know, like I said, the NFL need to get this together, but it's not just their fault. The refs are holding out for more money, and they're holding out for other things. They need to get that together because like we told the players, like I said last year with the player lockout, this game is bigger than all of us. It's bigger than the refs, it's bigger than the players, and it will go on. And it's proven. It's the show going on now. 16 games being played today, or 15 being played. And so it's going to happen regardless. The NFL is a machine. It's a great product. It's America's favorite sport. I mean, the world's favorite sport. And I think that, you know, it can't do anything but get bigger. But they need to get this under wrap. But talking about that, I mean, let's get positive, brighten this thing up a little more. Let's talk about these young quarterbacks, man. I mean, I'm very excited about that. I mean, you know, we grew up with the drop-back pocket quarterbacks, the Brett Favre's, the Peyton Mannings, and all these guys. You know, those our age group. And now it seems as if, you know, Eli Manning is probably the last man standing for that prototypical pocket-style quarterback that wants to stand there and deliver every down. And but these young boys are lighting it up and making this game more exciting and adding that show into the NFL every week.
I can't agree with you more. And I think, you know, with Cam Newton, you know, by all means, he wasn't the first who could do a little bit more of everything. But I think this is the first time that we've seen what Cam Newton is doing start to really change the game. I mean, we had the old guys, the Randall Cunninghams and some of those other guys who were the run threat as well as the passing threat, but it didn't take. Where now I'm turning on the football game every Sunday, and I'm seeing these read options and the things that are going on going on all over the league. And I'd agree with you. When we look at Tom Brady, like you said, the Peyton Manning, those guys, they haven't played as well lately. And I think the last, like you said, the best pure pocket quarterback we have playing right now is Eli Manning. I mean, just looking at 2 Super Bowls in 5 years and what he's been able to do on the field. But, I think the last of the true hybrid might be the Drew Brees. And if we look at it, he's an undersized guy who does well on the move. He's definitely still, I think, a drop-back passer. But he's the last of those guys that we see who was like your Steve Youngs and those types of things. And I definitely see us heading in this direction. I got a chance to catch a little bit of the Lions-Tennessee Titan game today, and this young kid, Jake Locker, man, he took off on a couple of runs, and man, the mobility and the speed that we're seeing out of that position, big guys. I mean, this guy looked like a small linebacker. Yeah. Running through there. Wasn't the Cam Newton size, but I think we definitely see the game heading in that direction. Well,
right now, let's be honest. The fundamentals of football has been disappearing over the last decade, if not longer. And it's trickling down to all levels. Yeah. Now, football is becoming a game of schemes. And if I got a better scheme with better athletes, then I'm going to have a better team. Let's be honest. So now what's happening is these offensive systems, these defensive systems, they're able to succeed with these quarterbacks because now it's no longer your 11 defensive players against my 10 offensive players and my quarterback. Now we're playing 11-man versus 11-man football, and now you're forced to do your job. You're forced to know your assignment. In the moment that you're not disciplined in your rush lane and your pass coverage, your man-to-man, or your pass protection, there's going to be a letdown, and it's going to be something. It's going to be a problem. Absolutely. And if you turn your back now on these new quarterbacks, they no longer 6'5", 220, drop back, I'm trying to find a pass, I'm going to get to my 4th read. These are 1, 2 reads, and they're gone.
Absolutely.
And when they come, you got to lower your pass. This is not an easy win.
No.
So, I appreciate that, and I do like that because, like I said, this young quarterback, these boys are fearless. Yeah. You can see it in their eyes. They're not intimidated by the game, and they love playing the game. And they just going out and having fun. And you can see it, and it's transitioning, and it's showing up on film as the game is being it looks more, people more excited.
Well, and I got to tell you, as a guy who spent my life in the trenches, I'm glad to see some of these quarterbacks stop acting like prima donnas and stop getting treated that way. Of course, the game with the rules and all those things, the refs are going to treat them, more with white glove treatment. But I'm glad to see quarterbacks get out there and push it a little bit, so that the only guys who are hitting on every play aren't the linemen. And so as we start talking about that, let's talk about In the Trenches, which happens to be the name of our show. But talk to me about where you see the game right now as far as offensive line play. We rarely hear about this, on TV and the media. What are your thoughts on where we are as far as technique, fundamentals, what we're seeing out of the game?
Well, that old 3 yards of cloud of dust is gone. There's still a few teams out there, like the team we're going to talk about later on in this segment, the Seattle Seahawks. They're still committed to the run game. And it's proven that the team that can still run the ball is still a very powerful asset in the offensive scheme. But as far as us just lying down, putting our hands in the dirt, getting our butts in the air and firing out that ball, that day's over with. And these boys are big and strong and faster, but likewise, those defensive players are big, strong, and faster. And like we said, scheme is a big part of the game now. It's not necessarily I'm bigger and badder than yours, and yours is bigger and badder than mine. And at the end of the day, we'll see who wins this fight. It's more, how can I outcoach you and can we outplay you as an overall scheme?
Do you think that this change that we're seeing is a necessary evolution of the offensive and defensive play as far as the linemen are concerned? Or do you think is it just what's next? Or is it as a result of, us losing some of the base fundamentals of the game?
You know what? I don't want to sound like a salty old lineman, because back in our day, we hear other older guys, old-timer guys, and I feel like an old-timer, talking about how the game is getting soft and how the game has changed. With any great thing or any great product, you have to have change. And that's the great thing about this game of football and the NFL game of football is we are leading that change. And, I mean, it has to happen. It has to happen. These guys are getting faster. You know, I was a big tackle at 6'5".
Yeah.
Now, I would barely make center height. I mean, this guy right here might not even make the field. Now,
I was a midget.
But it's just, you know, you got 6'8". I saw a guy that's a 6'10" nose tackle in college.
Wow.
You can't drop back on him. You can't run the ball down his throat. You got to make him. You got to stretch the field out and see if he can get sideline to sideline.
Absolutely. Well, now, you know, you alluded to this earlier. You know, it's Monday. We're getting ready to dive into the Monday Night Football game coming up later this evening. Let's talk about this matchup. We got the Green Bay Packers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. What do you think?
Well, you got last year, you had the Green Bay Packers were one of the best teams in the league. If some people thought they were the best team in the NFL before the playoffs. And you got Pete Carroll on the West Coast with them young boys. Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch, and he has a great defense. Is playing hard out there, man. And what I like about this matchup is it's a commitment of the old David versus Goliath. I believe you got an offense on the West Coast offense that loves to run the ball, that's committed to the ball with a young quarterback, and they're trying to limit his throws and limit his influence on the game. And you got a defense in Green Bay that has something to prove. People trying to wash them off, trying to wash their hands of them, and they're out to prove that, yo, we're still that team from last year. We just hadn't hit our stride yet.
Well, I got to tell you what, you know, having played in the what we used to call the black and blue division my entire career, there's no love lost between me and the Green Bay Packers. So I'm not going to shed a tear that they've struggled. You know, obviously they had a high-powered offense last year, but their defense was Swiss cheese, and it's continued to be such. And, you know, just as an offensive lineman coming up, I remember our coaches always drilling into us, you know, fundamentals, technique, you know, the basic understandings of the game. And that's how you win. And so when I see defenses that can't stop anybody, you know, they get what they deserve in my mind. And I see, you know, and I have to be honest, I'm a little bit biased to the Seattle Seahawks. My old offensive line coach, Golden Pat Rule, is out there. And, you know, I know he's coaching those guys up and is a part of the reason why their running game is strong. And I foresee them giving the Green Bay Packers a hard time. And, you know, to me, a defense that can't stop the run or can't get pressure on the quarterback, just like when we lined up as offensive line and people couldn't stop the run, it was going to be a long day, you know. And this is a man's game, and I really enjoy the fact that, you know, there's no hiding out there. The eye in the sky doesn't lie. So we'll be all tuned in watching tonight. Any closing thoughts?
Man, you know, that's the greatest thing about this game. Is on paper it might look like this team has the advantage of the other, but you still have to play the game.
That's right.
At the end of the day, the best team will win the game that day.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in and checking out Mo and Hess in the Trenches. Check us out again next week.